Welcome to the Sports Card Talk Show. With Kevin Anderson and Lauren Walker, the Skol Brothers.
Welcome to episode 44 of the Sports Card Talk Show. Tonight we are doing our Friday Night Lights show. Who do we got going on tonight?
Spotlight tonight is Andrew at Blake's Ball Cards.
Cool, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be one of our youngest, I guess, that we've had on the show so far.
I believe he will be our youngest collector on the show. So
yeah, it's going to be awesome to get his little perspective. And
I think it's going to be fun to see what a youngster's perspective on the sport is for sure.
Gosh, I feel old now we're saying that.
He's younger than both of our oldest boys. So
yeah, that's true. Well, should we get him on the line?
Ring-a-ling ding-dong.
All right, we got Andrew on the line. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it looks like we might have pulled you from the woods. You're opening hunting down there?
Yeah, it's open rifle season for the next few weeks.
Okay, good. So right away, I got to ask you, Blake's Ball Cards. When we started talking, I'm like, so obviously your name's Blake, and you're like, no. So what's the story behind Blake's Ball Cards?
Well, when I first started Instagram, I wanted to have a distinguishable name that kind of had a ring to it. Like Andrew's Ball Cards wouldn't be really ringy. I wanted to have something that sounded really good because I wanted to eventually have business cards. So Blake's Ball Cards made sense with the two B's, and because Blake's my middle name, so my dad's like, why don't you use your middle name, Blake's Ball Cards?
There you go.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right.
So this wasn't a name you just pulled out of a hat.
No.
I know.
I just got lucky with that one, with having Blake.
Yeah.
And I like that you were thinking ahead and how you can incorporate into the business. You know, like you had it on your mind that you were going to do something like that.
Yeah, I was thinking long term, and my dad has a beer cheese business called Bubba's Beer Cheese, so he's really good with coming up with names. I was like, just help me, I need something, because I don't know what to do.
Did you say Billy's Beer Cheese?
Bubba's Beer Cheese.
Oh, Bubba's Beer Cheese. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. So how long have you been, I guess, when did you start the Blake's Ball Cards? Like, when did you get started with that?
Probably 2 years ago, but I started Blake's Ball Cards as a hardcore collecting hobby for me, but I've been collecting like the base cards that I thought were the holy grails of cards when I was like 8 or 9. My uncle actually, he used to be in the big collecting, him and my aunt. They had binders full of Ken Griffey's, Shaquille O'Neal's, Jordan's, Magic, and stuff like that. So they kind of gave me those, and I was like, oh man, I want some more. So when they go Junkin and they buy stuff and polish it up and resell it. So when they go out Junkin, I would go and buy like sealed wax of old 1990 sets and just keep them.
Yeah.
I have a whole stash of old sealed wax, and then just any old cards that I could find, I'll just buy up. I don't know why, but I just love buying up old stuff because I thought they were worth so much.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. That's cool, man. So that's what you originally were collecting. Sorry, Lauren. Is the kind of the older stuff, the 80s, 90s junk wax there?
Yeah, still to this day, if I buy like sealed up old wax, I buy it because I think that stuff's actually gonna go up. Because 10, 15 years, because I see people all the time buying old wax and ripping it just for a fun rip from their childhood days. So once 15, 20 years, once everybody rips up everything and they can't find any more of it, it's a supply and demand there. That's why it's gonna crosswise.
Yep. That's really forward thinking there.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
So I mean, so you said junking, so you got an aunt and uncle who like they like to like go to like auctions, I'm guessing, or yard
exactly.
like estate sales and that kind of stuff. And
Yeah, auctions, flea markets. There's always a there's always a few sales here that runs on the highways, like Kentucky Highway 27, and there's a few other ones that they go on. And you'd be surprised on how many older people will have this seal wax laying around for $5-10 a box, and I'm like, I'll take it. Like, I mean, it might not go up, but pulling out $5-10 a pop isn't gonna break me, you know. It's
yeah,
a risk I'm gonna take. And honestly though, like, if you kind of think about it, so many people are still in the older stuff, but the reason they're into the modern stuff is to just make a few bucks so they can go and buy the older stuff. So there's always gonna be that demand for the older stuff because that's the childhood days for most collectors.
right. You're the by far and away the youngest collector or guest we've had on the show. Most everybody is our age, and they all have the same story of collecting back in the junk wax era.
Yeah.
Left for like 20-30 years, and I think we all hit our midlife crisis, and we're going back to our childhoods, you know. And it's funny whenever we're on Instagram, I see a card that I liked when I was your age or younger, and I'm hitting the like button on it because it's so nostalgic, you know. So yeah, the fact that you're I think you're onto something there as far as it is fun to watch the fun rips that guys do, you know, because it's like, oh man, I remember doing, you know, it's so nostalgic for us, you know, and it's only going to get probably worse in time for us too.
Yeah. And I'm a basketball enthusiast. That was like my first love of collecting, and then football came along secondly. But like, I remember when I was 10 or less, or 10 or younger, I would be at my aunt's on a snow day from school, and I would be watching NBA TV, and you see these dunk contests with all the older players, and that's kind of where like my collecting kind of ignited, because I love Dominique Wilkins, like, and I love watching his dunk contest. Like any of the older stuff, like Michael Jordan games, John Stockton, Karl Malone games, like any of the older classic games, I just love watching it, and that kind of aligned with my collecting. But to this day, I still pick up older people's stuff, mostly I'm just trying to start picking up more memorabilia though. Like I picked up a Dominique Wilkins signed authenticated jersey for cheap. Like it's crazy that nobody puts respect on their names when what they did in the past is history, you know.
Yep. Oh yeah.
So
Yeah, it's crazy that you probably picked it up for really cheap, and a guy, Zion Williamson, who hasn't played second in a regular season game, is like, you know, Kevin sent me a post or sent me a eBay card that was like $100,000. It was like a contenders rookie ticket auto, and I'm like going, are you kidding me? Like Kevin actually wanted to post like, I don't know how many Michael Jordan rookie cards that you could buy for the price of one Zion card.
Oh, can I get my take on the Zion dilemma real quick?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I think Zion can be good and bad for the hobby, and here's why. I think it's good for the hobby though, because the public loves Zion. So when you see Panini doing stuff with Zion publicly, that can bring a beacon of light to Panini, first of all. However, I see NBA hoops boxes being broken at $125 per box, and I see Jakob Portal being pulled as an auto, which isn't worth but $3.
Mm-hmm.
And it messes up with the other collectors, and it just makes them lose more money. That's my take on it. So personally, I'm not going to invest in Zion at all, because it's just going to be, I don't know how it's going to be. It's going to be fun to watch, but I don't know if it's going to be beneficial to the card community as a whole.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
I think Zion is just captured the imagination of people. I think he's the size of the guy isn't I don't think he's going to have a very long career. The size, you know, he's 270, and I mean that's a lot of pressure on his knees. I just don't see him having
Yeah.
a very long sustaining career. He definitely shouldn't be outselling Michael Jordan cards, in my opinion. You know.
I seen on Sports Center where there was a report. The reporter was talking how David Griffin realized that, and he was working his butt off, and so was like other I don't know if they're scientists or whatever, but other people working with David Griffin on how they can keep Zion still muscular, but more of a lean muscle.
Right.
Make him lose weight, but keep that muscle, but he's going to have to do that every day. So that's going to be a hard thing to do for him personally, because he can't quit. He can't quit it for like a week or two, because he's just gonna gain more weight just like that.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's definitely going to be something to watch for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'll be sitting on the sidelines on that one too.
So,
Me too.
You must be a Kentucky basketball fan then?
And football. I'm in the tough days of Joker Phillips, when we didn't win one game the whole season to now, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's been a whirlwind in the football program, and so the basketball program's been the same way. Before Calipari got there, we were garbage, and now we're one of the most sought after colleges to go to again. Which, I mean, it's great for the state, honestly.
Yeah. Well, you guys have basically like a NBA starting five every year of freshmen.
Yeah.
It seems like.
Yeah, I'm excited about this year's freshman, but I say that every year. I think Tyrese Maxey is just unbelievable. If you guys know who that is.
I don't. I probably will know later on in the basketball season. I don't follow college. College basketball is a lot harder to follow than it used to be when we were kids, because you have to learn a whole new batch of freshmen every single year.
Yeah,
you know, whereas
every day.
back when we were kids, you know, Patrick Ewing played for Georgetown through 4 years. Everybody played. I mean, it was crazy if a guy left his junior year, kind of. That was like coming out early back in the day.
Yeah.
I know you guys are football guys, but I'm just going to give you a quick background of what Maxey did at his first game against Michigan State. Maxey had 26 points, the most for any freshman under John Calipari in under his term, and he hit a three for about 10 or 15 feet behind the 3-point line to seal the game.
Oh wow!
It was insane.
So is he a Steph Curry, Trae Young type shooter then?
He's a shooter who's lightning fast, who has the toughness to finish inside. He's basically a combo Eric Bledsoe, but a better shooting and quicker Eric Bledsoe. If that makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing against Eric Bledsoe, but he's not really the quickest out there.
Right. So he's going to be one to be watching when he comes out, huh?
Oh yeah, he's a lottery pick for sure, and his stock's only going to go up.
Yeah, well, especially when you have that as your first outing.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
it was insane. Dick Vitale was like, "Come on, baby!" It was hilarious.
Oh, fun. So,
as far as did you want to get into? You said you started out with just some cards, and now you got quite the inventory, and you wanted to kind of talk about how to get into the hobby as a youngster and how to build your inventory and build the money in your pocket and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, like you said, I didn't start out with hardly anything. I didn't have the funds as some of the other people who's goes into collecting. I didn't have a job that paid $50,000-$60,000 and up a year. So you have to put some money into it out of your pocket to get started. Like, you just have to. There's no other way to do it. You can't keep trading up and do the paper cut challenge for every card. Like, you have to put money into it. But you have to put money into it and buy. And if you just want to collect what you like, then collect what you like. But if you want to buy, trade and sell, and flip cards, then you need to, one, make connections. Be friendly throughout the Instagram community. Sorry, that's what they're calling. Make connections to the hobby. make relationships, make friends, know what people like. First of all, know what they desire, and when you're doing a deal, you don't need to make any bad connections. That's my number one priority. When I'm doing a deal, if something goes wrong, I do my best to make up for it, make it right. And when you do a deal, you need to keep on making deals. Like, don't stop, because it takes forever to get built up. So you need to keep buying, trading, selling good deals, and making those connections that can last for years down to the hobby. Because it has for me. In the 2 years I've been doing it, I've made so many connections.
Yeah, for sure. I think following through, like you said, and communication and all that. I know one thing as a older collector, or older in relations to you, one thing that I find as a bit of a turnoff is the legit post. But then I saw yours and I started reading through the comments, and you had like 60, 70 comments. And I'm like, all right, I guess I kind of see it. But to me, that's just like a red flag personally. Yeah. But when I see yours, I'm like, okay, well, you actually had like 67 people. And I read through all of them. I'm like, okay, I guess I kind of see it. But that's just a different generation, like.
Yeah.
Like, I think the younger collector might be like, yeah, you need to have that, and I'm like, well, you should just do that on you, like I'm looking at a card. I think you probably remember I was asking about the Julius Erving card.
Yeah.
It's probably something that will eventually come to a deal on, but that's how you're going to prove it to me, how you handle the sale, how the card comes packaged to me. And then I will definitely put a shout out to you for the transaction.
I think like some of the old guys, we're like, whenever a guy scores a touchdown and he's doing some ridiculous dance in the end zone, we kind of are like more like hand the ball to the ref and act like you've been there before. So, and sometimes the celebrations are pretty funny. Other guys irk me though. It's like punk.
My reasoning behind it, like, I understand your perspective on the legit post, Kevin, but my reasoning behind it was when I first started out and I was doing deals, and I didn't have like a name that people knew. They was like, oh, who can vouch for you? And at the time, I couldn't lie and be like, oh, this person can vouch for me, because I didn't do that many deals. And then they would they would one up me and be like, oh, you ship first. And I'm like, sketchy, not gonna do that.
Right. I totally, like I said, I see why you do it. I'm not trying to say anything bad about it. I'm just saying you're turning my mind to it, I guess, basically.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm a little iffy on it, but I would never ship first. No, we're gonna do a deal, and you can get blown up on social media by doing something foolish. So I'm glad that you try to do things the right way, and you're gonna make it right.
Yeah.
That's super important.
For example, on Facebook, I was not. I'll admit, I was being petty with a guy doing a deal, and I was not trying to be petty, but it came out that way. And this guy was going to buy this 1-of-1 of a player that's a bench player in the NBA, and I felt really bad about it. And I was like, "Drop your address. I'm just going to send you the card for free for the treble." And he goes, "Oh, when it comes in, I'll send you the money." I'm like, I don't need the money. I messed up. You have the card for free, because it's just sitting and collecting dust. And I'm going to get that card ready tonight and ship it out Monday probably, and everything's going to be okay. So, like, you're young collect, and I think it's important for young collectors to have great communication with the older collectors, because there's such a misconception in the hobby right now of young collectors being immature, for good reason, scammers, parent-funded, which there's nothing wrong with it being parent-funded, but there's a high respect for people, from older people, I think, if you're not parent-funded, or that's what I think personally, just reading through some of the stuff in the community.
Yeah, to me, I don't know, I think Lauren would probably feel the same way. I don't care if it's parent funded, as long as you follow through on everything you say you're going to do, and don't hide from it. If you make a mistake, don't hide from it, Yeah. I think that's important. It's nice that we're having you on, because I just read through some stuff about a kid getting, pretty much blown up on social media for not following through. you know?
Yeah.
And that's not good either. But that should give you pause, you know?
Yeah.
And any collector, not just a young collector, any collector, you got to follow through, you know? Like if we like stuff shipped a certain way, so that's how we ship it, you know? We want communication, so we communicate, you know?
Yeah, it's all about doing it the way you want it to be done to you. Is exactly how you should always live your life. Do unto others as you'd want done unto you. Like, I mean, as Jesus said. You know?
Yeah.
And like, I think only one time I've had somebody tell me about a car that's been damaged, and the only reason it was damaged is because I forgot that on the back there was a crease on it. And when the guy got because I always ship a bubble mailer, but I bubble wrap the card itself and then put it in the umbrella.
Right.
And I was like, I'm like, do you want PayPal right now to just partially refund it, or do you want or what do you want to do? And he's like, I'm probably gonna buy from you in the future, so can you just tab me like a couple dollars? And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Like if you do something wrong, you just need to own up to it. And I feel like that's the problem with the young collectors, because I feel like when they mess up, they know they messed up, but they're scared to admit it because some of the older guys in the community are aggressive and they don't know how they're going to react.
Right. Oh yeah. Well, I think you can have that aggression. Some people are just like to just blow you up if they might just be having a bad day and they'll flip out on you, or else they're just one of those miserable human beings that are like looking to blow up on any kind of mistake. Yeah, like mistakes happen no matter what walk of life you're in, and if you own up to it, and if somebody's and you try and you're willing to work it out, it most of the time you're gonna have great results.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I used to sell on eBay quite a bit back in the day. And buy a lot. And those are some of the messed up transactions, if they're handled right, are the most memorable. You know, because you actually like get to know the person. And it might have been a completely screwed up transaction, but you got to see somebody, the best in a person, which is so memorable, you know?
I don't sell on eBay a lot. Only for some like higher stuff, valued cards I sell.
That's like, a good place to dump your high dollar stuff for sure.
I sold a Anthony Davis game worn laundry tag. I had 2 on there about a month back now, or a month and a half, whatever, to a guy that was actually on Instagram. And I didn't know at the time. I was like, hey, do you have Instagram? And he's like, yeah. So I've made connections to eBay too. You know?
Oh, yeah.
It's just crazy how many people, like, it's crazy how many communities overlap each other, you know? Yeah,
absolutely.
Speaking of that, you're on Instagram. You sell a little bit on eBay. Is there any other formats? I think you mentioned Facebook.
Yeah, I do Facebook. I'm only in a few groups on there, but I mostly buy off of Facebook because people are really people want to move their stuff, so they price it at prices that will move. Because like you see people on Instagram post on their story or be like, nobody's buying, I have great prices, but in reality, the prices are at eBay or 2% below eBay, which I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that. But on Facebook, they're like, here, I'm moving this. I'm selling way below eBay. And that gets people's attention just like that. And that's why so many deals are through Facebook. It's insane. Right. Which I'm not saying there's not many deals on Instagram, but I feel like there's way more sales on Facebook than Instagram, but there's way more trades on Instagram, in my opinion, because of the groups.
I know that I've made a deal or two on Facebook. Sometimes I'll even surf Craigslist, because but usually Craigslist is full of people that are trying to sell their 1980s and 90s junk wax, and they're trying to sell, like, it looks like boxes and boxes and boxes of not unopened product, but opened, the 5,000 count boxes of open stuff, and you're going, that stuff ain't worth $200 or $300. You're going,
Yeah.
those boxes are probably worth. Who knows? They might be, but I just don't want. I'm not interested in. I got plenty of that stuff myself. I don't want to add to it.
Yeah.
Cool. So is there anything else that you want to kind of touch base with? I know we said we keep it around the 25 to 30 minute mark, and we're hitting that time frame now. I'm just kind of curious if there's something else you want to bring up, or I felt like we covered quite a bit of stuff today.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think on something that would be good to talk about for young people. Oh, here's one thing I will say about being a young collector. I remember when I first started out, I would see Jimmy and Ron, Kentucky Basketball Cards, and Card Collector 2, and other big names on Instagram having these huge, amazing collections. And I would get, so discouraged by it and stuff like that. And I remember one time, I don't know who it was, I sent a DM to a guy about a Bam Adebayo Logoman redemption card that he had for sale. And his response to me back was, "It's out of your price range." And I remember feeling so disencouraged by that and being like, wow, this guy's called me poor in the card collecting community. And this can be for some adults too. Whatever you want to do, whether it's collect low end, high end, mid end for a certain team, player, sport, or just collect whatever you want. Don't be disencouraged. Just keep doing what you want to do, and you'll eventually build yourself to the point where you can make deals every single day and not really be hurting money-wise, but you can still enjoy the hobby. That's my advice to people.
That sounds good to me, man. That's sound
advice. I don't have that's a whole nother people who buy Flawless. Flawless is $2,000 for a box right now. That's ridiculous. Zion cards going for $100,000, or Tom Brady graded rookie cards for Michael Jordan rookie. All that kind of stuff is just that's in another stratosphere. Find the. I have some really nice cards, and I built my collection up from nothing at one point.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun. It's just collect what you like. Don't try to chase the dollar. Some people, unless you like chasing the dollar. If you like chasing dollars, chase the dollars. But that's so right on that. Don't get discouraged, man. Do you have friends that collect cards in too, or are you kind of all on your own out there?
There's actually one that's my friend. I don't know what his Instagram account is though. It used to be Ike Sports Cards. He's a year older than me. He graduated high school last year. I try and take him to the show up in Lexington with me when he doesn't have to work or when he's not busy. He's really the only one. Nobody around people I know. There's not any young collectors. I mean, there's young collectors in Kentucky, but there's way more older collectors.
Right.
Okay, so you just got one actual friend, a friend that you have contact with, physical contact with that you know.
That does cards?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a lot of friends. Do you know a lot of kids that are still into the Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh or any of that kind of stuff?
I know a few kids from school that does Yu-Gi-Oh stuff, but not Pokemon.
Okay.
Stuff.
My kid collected, he's got a shoebox of Pokemon still at my house. But yeah, he was big into the Pokemon. He was also big into the Land Before Time movies, so he loved dinosaurs. So I kind of got him to the Toronto Raptors there for a second, and I was giving him Raptor cards, but he thought they were cool, the cartoon dinosaur Raptor back in the early 2000s. He thought that was cool, and now my kid absolutely loves football, but he kind of, I don't know how your kid is, but he kind of just shakes his head and doesn't understand what me and Kevin are doing.
That's how my dad is. He's like, I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing what you're doing.
Right. Yeah, if you like it and you enjoy it, man, I think you're right on, man. Don't get discouraged and collect what you like and do what you like, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're going to bring this episode to an end. If you want to hold on the line 1 second, we'll just talk and we'll let you get back to your deer hunting. This is going to bring episode 44 to a close. I want to thank Andrew from Blake's Ball Cards. Threw me off there, man. I'm telling you. On to the episode. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Skol Brothers out.